Bonjour. So let's get into 6 of the best comics this week. An average week. Not. I know I've said for about the past month that it's been a bumper week. This week was nice and mellow. Nice and mellow. There was an even spread, but for some reason I've got 4 Marvel here. Got 4 Marvel and 2 indies. So any DC fans out there, sorry. I did pick up Detective Comics and Dark Knights of Steel, but they're not in my 6 of the best. Still good books, but not in my 6 of the best. Before I carry on, a big thank you to everyone who has given me a like, given me a comment, given me a subscribe. I really, really do appreciate it. And I will just say one more time, probably not one more time, but one more time in this video, that YouTube isn't bothered about us lot at the bottom here. So everything you are doing for us lot down here, which is like, subscribe, comment, it really, really does help to lift us up and just push us into maybe places and put us in front of people that might not have been searching for something in particular. And for me personally, I really do appreciate it. So if you can carry on doing that, that'd be excellent. Let's get into it. So, first one up, Daredevil. Now, this in conjunction with Punisher at the moment, two of Marvel's best books by far. 2 of Marvel's best books. Changed the artist this week, but I think it's Manuel Garcia. Is it Manuel Garcia? Yeah, got his name right for a change. An artist's name right, not him personally. But nevertheless, this is still a good read. It's still a compelling read, as well as the Punisher in conjunction, those 2. And this Scotty Young is really getting, with Humberto Ramos's artwork, which I have adored since he did Impulse back in the day, if you remember that, if you're old and an old hog like me. This is a great book. It's so much fun. It's light-hearted, but not in a patronising way. And Scotty Young's he's really getting into a good groove there with this book. I didn't know if I was going to like this or not. The way Marvel is behaving with their bigger characters, their bigger books, I kind of didn't want to like it, but did. That's a good first issue. Good first issue. I've gone through the Star Wars books before, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. I don't know how many issues are going to be, whether this is just a one-off or there's going to be another Jabba's Palace story, or whether they're just going to do them. I literally don't know what they're doing with this, because this was a self-contained story about the robot that we see getting tortured. We'll get into it in a deep dive. I'll explain all. Final issue of the first arc. There is going to be, this is issue 6? Oh, 5. There is going to be an issue 6, but this completes the first story arc of such a delicately handled, sweet love story set in the post-apocalypse that I really did love. I really loved this book. So this is the last issue in this arc. So if you can catch up with it in a graphic novel format, then that's fine. And then good old Mark Millar with yet another comic. I mean, the bloke is certainly prolific. If not anything else, the boy is prolific, isn't he? And with Frank Quitely's artwork, I found it irresistible. Do you know what? I took this off the shelf at Comics and Fantasy in Hornchurch, Essex, by the way, for my old mate Paul. I literally didn't even look inside. Mark Millar and Frank Quitely. Well, I'm not going to pick it up. And it did not fail. The promise of those 2 names, this did not fail to deliver in that postmodernist, deconstructionist way that he has with superheroes. But I really enjoyed it. So, join me after the scroll for a deep dive into these bad boys, and we'll have a look at a few covers and see what we think was the best one of the week. From the point of view of what is the best cover to sell this comic. You know, if you saw it on a spinner when you was a kid, take yourselves back in time. You saw it on a spinner when you was a kid. What would have made you pick that book up? That's what I love about the cover of the week. So if you want to join me all the way to the end, then there's that. If not, skip through what books you want to see me do a deep dive on, because I chapterise it. Let's get going. Here we go. So Chip Zdarsky, still on Daredevil, and still one of the best runs. One of the best runs. They've swapped out the artist for Manuel Garcia, which it was a little bit jarring at first, I've got to admit, but he has got a nice style. It's just a shame that he's. I don't know whether he's just doing this odd one, this odd issue, but obviously classic. This is just a bit of a dream sequence, but just got a nice bit of classic Daredevil. It was so good to see the classic Daredevil, no beard, no, just almost like virgin and clean. But I'm enjoying this story. Just on that note, with this storyline and in The Punisher, all I'm hoping for now is that they do bring this to a conclusion, like pretty soon, within the next few issues. But for this run of Daredevil and of Punisher, I'm enjoying it. This is in my top 6 books of the week, so I can't say I'm not enjoying it. And it's been a great storyline, but they've ringed it out. Chip Zdarsky's rung it out for everything it's worth now. I love this bit where he can hear someone has dropped a phone high up on one of these mountains. And I didn't get it at first. And it's like bzz, bzz, bzz. And it's in this, look. It's in this, but I really did think that was very, very nicely done. And then here's the guy on the other end. And Garcia's artwork is nice and moody. It was just a shame that they couldn't have just carried on with Checchetto, is it? Who's normally been on it. But nevertheless, without going into the storyline too much, obviously they're under attack on the island they're on. He thinks it's the Avengers when it first flies in, but no, it is not. It is not the Avengers bombing them. And all is not as it seems with Foggy and Stick. And the Hand will be reborn. So hopefully that's leading to the conclusion, and then we can get back on with it. And I'm not going to turn the page any further because it's nicely done. I'm enjoying it, but maybe wrap it up issue 12, maybe, and then let's come back with some Daredevil and Elektra and all the rest of it. Now this, like I said in the intro, I'm loving this book. This is so much fun. You can really tell that Scotty Young and Humberto Ramos are having Edgar Delgado's colouring on this is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You can tell. And anyone who follows my videos knows how much I love it when three artists are working in conjunction with each other. Beautiful colouring, and how he carries on. That this kind of the weird world feel of it, and it's parents. It's Parents' Day. It's Parents' Day at Strange Academy. So. Old Don Mamu Jr. here, and he's saying, look, you always thought, look, they're going, Mum? That's your mum? Look, what? You have a mum? Or mom, as they say over the water. Quick origin, two pages, quick origin. And Dad turns up, saying, my invitation must have gotten lost in the mail. But like I've just previously mentioned, they're having fun with this, but without making it infantile. It's just they're having fun with these characters and kind of making light of it, but not for silly laughs. It's within the story's characters. Within these young characters is this dialogue? Are these character interactions? Emily that left the group, and with a good few of the others, but they've all kind of come back into the fold. And then obviously attacking Parents' Day. or not Parents' Day. What do they call it? Forgive me, because I didn't go to university, and as you might have known, annual commencement ceremony. So yeah, it's just a yearly thing they do, with all the new, and it's all going to kick off. Team Domamu. And again, just pausing to take a look at the colouring on little bits like this, light that are kind of lit up from below that you could just block. Anyone else could. This is just very, very nicely coloured by Edgar Delgado. And these scenes, Ramos is packing it in with Delgado. They are packing it in. And there was one bit that I really did. Sorry, I'm going back. No, actually, it wasn't in this. Forgive me. It's when we get on to the next Avengers Beyond that I thought there was a really nice note in it from the colorist that I loved. But look at this stuff. This is pure comics. This is comic. Like Ramos is at a stage in his career now where he can tell these stories effortlessly. And like I've said about Jeff Johns, Mark Waid, Scotty Young is getting into a nice groove now of storytelling. And as an artist, Ramos, they are making it look easy. But my God, this stuff isn't easy. Otherwise, they'd all be doing it. This is a great book. This is a great read. And so Emily's come back, obviously, because she's split from our main group at the Strange Academy. And normally, I don't go to the last page, but I've got to because it's a punchline. Mum, Dad, what are you doing here? And the pet dog. Just the punchline at the end. That please don't think that this is light stuff. They're involving the parents in a realistic way, but it's done in a very well accomplished manner from Scotty Young. I think he's really going for it, Scotty Young, and good for him. And backed up with Humberto Ramos's artwork, just a nice match made in heaven. Right, here we go. I was doubting this. I was doubting this book because Avengers of late have not been good. I'm sorry, but they have not been good. But this is a decent book where they are referencing All Out Avengers issue 5 and issue 4 a bit in this book, but I don't think you really need to know, which is what I'm enjoying about this. Kicks off with She-Hulk. We don't know what's going on. We just drop right in the middle of a scene. Here comes the real Captain America, proper Captain America. The one thing about this book, though, that I do not understand, so please, anyone out there who does, please let me know why the hell Blade is in the Avengers. That's pretty stupid, I think. Stupid. And I've enjoyed this book, and I do like Blade as a character. But in the Avengers, that's pathetic. That's pathetic. But other than that, this story really does crack along. It really does. That really does go for it. Is it Derek Landy? Yeah, Derek Landy and Greg Land, obviously on the art. And Greg Land, I've loved his work from way back. I think it was Sojourn for CrossGen when I first come across his work, and that was beautiful artwork. Unravels from the Beyond the story, Beyonder's origin story, and involving all of the proper Avengers. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Here's the big bad. What's her name? Tiamat, who works for the Beyonders or Lost One, Lost God, whatever it is. Cracking action. I love this actually, where she's pulling his hair and kicking him in the head. I thought was quite funny. Yeah, we don't see Blade much, which is why I think it didn't spoil this comic much. And all the bad guys turn up at the end, ready for issue 2, which excellent. Now, I should have really marked the page for this was it. I just loved the way the colorist marked out Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man, and is that Captain Marvel? I don't know. Yeah. I just love the way he did it. Just tiny little as they're transporting into there. Anyway, I needed to point out to get it off my chest, didn't I? But yeah, so anyway, that is a good book, good first issue. Looking forward to the next issue. All the big bads turn up, so they've done enough. They've done enough of a good job. Right now, this is a great comic, because what happens here is I didn't know where they was going to go with this, Jabba, and I'm enjoying all these Star Wars comics. Now, I don't know if we recognise this guy, this robot, from either the games or the film Empire Strikes Back, but we do see him being tortured. We see him, I think it might be in the game, in one of the games, but basically it's the story of how he gets there, because it was unusual that a robot would be tortured. We're introduced to the character that ultimately leads to his demise. We've got narration from him. I normally hate narration, but this really does work in this story, this one-off. And we're just introduced, we're right in it. We're right in the palace, just before Empire Strikes, between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, with all of the usual, look, all of the usual characters. We've got, what's his name? I don't know where I recognise that name from when they dropped it. Reuse. I think they did an action figure of it back in the day. I think one of the original action figures is Reuse. But if you want to hit me up in the comments and kind of, I know I'm kind of stabbing at it here, but I thought Reuse was a figure, was a character that they did an action figure of. And then obviously with this character, they've reprogrammed him into a what's it droid, like C-3PO, and that's why he's right in the middle of everything. And this new character is is blackmailing him into doing his own bidding, and it all goes wrong. And it really is a cleverly woven story of betrayal and blackmail on behalf of this character, and using this robot as a fall guy. And ultimately, I'll skip a few pages. Ultimately ends up, look, we get all the the Sarlacc pit, call it the Sarlacc nest actually there. So all the imagery we've come to know and love. Look, just spot on for me. This stuff riffing off of the old stuff, and it ends on this image, the end. So I don't know whether this was just a one-off or not, but really, it's a great story. Clever. It's a clever story, and I really enjoyed it. I do like a short story told well, and I thoroughly recommend this alongside all of the other Star Wars titles. Really enjoyed that. Good cover as well. This has been consistently good. I think I may have featured this once or twice. It's a simple love story. Now, I say simple, but within the world of in a post-apocalyptic world, and our main two characters, they're falling in love throughout the story. Two youngsters, and he's in trouble. He appears to be the weakest one out of the two. He's just an inventor, and Mezzy, the girl that he meets, he has to go through these tests, and it's all quite funny actually because he fails them all. He's kind of really angry that I haven't come this far. I'm going to do it for Mezzy. I'm going to do it for my tower, because they these lot have burnt down his former home, where he lived, the tower. He's going to do it for them, but then he scores 0 in everything. And he's got one last chance. So they drag him to the scrap heap, where they chain him up, ready for the trial by death the next day. And Mezzy, who's been missing for a while in this story, comes back. And it is touching, it is sweet. What a nice, it really is a very innocent love story within all the madness that's going on in this post-apocalyptic world. Not very nicely done. Here's our big villain, Moore, who's the leader of the Rangers, and here they are. And he spent all night. He spent all night building something, and then we're finding out more backstory. Their dialogue. Here he comes. You think, oh my god, he's going to decimate, and it just gets weird. It gets weird because what he basically does is he fires all these missiles off and carves out Messi's image in the rock, and that for some reason they're just all flabbergasted enough to like realise the beauty of art, which is a bit weird. It's a bit weird, but if you've been reading this for, this is the 5th issue, if you've been reading it for 5 issues, then you're kind of in it. I bought it. I've bought into this story, and all Mezzy's former colleagues that she ran away from. That's what this lot have been on the hunt for her, and then obviously she teams up with Massio, the young boy in it, and then we get to some classic. It's nice in conjunction with the dialogue. It really is nice, like diary entries. With dialogue and diary entries, this is just really nicely done. It could have been really, really cringy, but it's not. And then we get proper post-apocalyptic Mad Max style, where he's grown up. This is Massio grown up now. We did see a glimpse of it in the last issue, and then we see someone come through the flames, rescuing Massio when he's older, and it's good old Mezzy. They found each other. So next issue, book 2 begins. So I thoroughly recommend this. I don't know if I've sold it to you just based on this issue. It really is worth the price of admission on a graphic novel if you don't want to chase down all the individual issues on this. Once Upon a Time at the End of the World just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it, as a title? But it's fantastic. And I am a sucker for post-apocalyptic stories. Book of the week, though, is this bad boy. Mark Millar up to his usual shenanigans, and alongside Frank Quietly, that we just can't. Interestingly, design team Brendan McCarthy, whose artwork I've admired for decades, since his early 2000 AD days, and obviously did a lot of production design work on Mad Max Fury Road. So design team, I'd love to find out more about what he actually, the ambassadors. So back in time, we've got a weird character here, 1986 Mexico. As only Frank Quietly can do this stuff. Love it. Mark Millar's really playing to Frank Quietly's strengths here. And as always with Mark Millar, it zips along. We've got mysterious government agent here. We've got some random characters finding this city in the middle of nowhere, which we then learn is a city created by the main character of the story. We've got a bit of government shenanigans going on, which they're trying to create a Superman back in the day, and this is the city we're in. And basically, I don't want to give too much of the story away because it's really woven in nicely into a sci-fi. It's kind of really mixed superhero stuff with sci-fi. But this is our main character who's got this corporation underneath her, and and she's setting her stall out really in this issue. This is her ex-husband, who she's claiming stole everything from her, but she's built herself back up again without me wanting to give too much away. And basically, she has figured out a way of creating superheroes in the laboratory, but she's not going to sell it. We've got the American president here saying terrifying. Let me get this straight. She isn't giving this to the military. She isn't trying to make money. Terrifying. So she's trying to be altruistic about it, about what she's discovered. We're introduced to this guy in South Africa, who, basically mashes them all up. End. To be continued. a properly intriguing. I think you've probably got about half a dozen different threads, at least, in this one issue. One of the most intriguing books I've read in a long while. It's got this, and I think it's because of the sci-fi element to it. There's a sci-fi element. There's no supernatural in it, and there's no superhumans in it, because they're trying to get there, but she's managed to find out how to do it in a lab. On about her ex-husband and all that. So, I really properly enjoyed that as an issue 1. I wish it was like a graphic novel of all 5 or 6 issues. I would have read that in one sitting. So that is my book of the week, by quite a long way, actually. By quite a long way. And getting on to covers of the week. I mean, if you're going to sell a Star Wars book, I suppose that has got to be in contention. And as far as the other books I haven't done, I think that's quite a striking with the Joker, in the card setting. I don't know if that's been done before. I'm assuming it has 1,000 times before, to be fair. But not that there's many. Not that there's many this week. I mean, if you're going to try and sell an Avengers number 1, then put them all on your cover. And I noticed Blade isn't on the cover. So, God knows why he's in the team in the inside. Maybe because I haven't read a couple of the other issues, but this is how you sell an Avengers book, not millions of them. Issue 1, here's 5 Avengers, here's the Beyonder, Avengers Beyond, what's going on inside? Batman and Joker, why are they dressed in armour, etc, etc. But I've got to say, and I know this isn't, that is an intriguing, that for me is an intriguing cover for an intriguing book. That is, for me, this week. And I know it's unusual because it's not exactly the most striking cover. But with Frank Quitely's artwork, there's something quietly powerful about this image. And I think it's to do with intrigue. It's to do with what is going on inside this book. And I know, all right, you could accuse it of being boring. Yes, you could. But for me, like I say, I picked this book up just on the 2 names, to be fair, but I'm choosing this as my, maybe one of my more controversial covers of the week, because it's not all singing, all dancing. But that's what I've got, and that's all I've got for this week. Hope you've enjoyed it. One more time, if you've stayed here this far, please give me a like, and if you fancy it, a subscribe, and also if you fancy it, which I love, the bit I love most is the comments and getting back to people and talking about this stuff. So please, if you can, even just leave me a little comment on the comics you're reading. If there's ones that I haven't mentioned this week, but you might have picked it up, recommend one to me. And on that note, I will bid everyone adios.